Live from the Export Beer Garden studios, this is the Agenda podcast for the 4th of March.
The Agenda, an alternative commentary collective podcast.
G'day there, welcome along to the Agenda podcast for a Monday. Geez, a lot going on the weekend. Myself, G Lane, Adam Pomano's stepping in, Mania Stewart, still swanning around the South Island.
Yeah, but I do believe he's kind of like a guy that probably would have had a very hectic weekend, so maybe the Monday off actually could be better for productivity for us during the week. What do you reckon?
Well, for once he actually put leave in, because usually what he'll do is the Monday would be, just to phone it in, just feeling a bit rough around the edges, but he's preempted the fact he's going to feel like dirt on Monday. He's taken the day off, which I commend him for, because that's a man who lives by the ethos of do your hangovers on the clock. And he's decided this is such a brutal one after a wedding down there. Was it back in Waimate, the wedding? I'm not sure. Was it in Christchurch? I'm not sure.
I think there'd be loose behaviour regardless wherever it was.
Yeah.
I was messaging him about NRL during the week, and it was about Thursday, and I was like, how you going, mate? He's telling me he had a big weekend. We told us all on the agenda last week, and I was like, how are you feeling for the weekend? And he was like, still pretty dusty. So, I would imagine...
Well, they went to the Waimate rodeo for the stag do the weekend before. So what could possibly go wrong there? What did go wrong, Adam, is the cricket. On Friday morning, that was when we lost that test match. The 100-run partnership between Pooh Bear, Josh Hazlewood and Cam Green. That was the difference between that game. That and Megamind, Nathan Lyon taking 10 wickets. Just him pesting around that leg stump line that just sucked in Kane Williamson, sucked in Blundell, and he just had it on a string, unfortunately. And we did lose by about 180 runs, but that 100-run partnership, and even those 42 runs that Nathan Lyon got as night watchman were crucial in the end in that test match. Quite low scoring. But I don't know what's happening to pitches in New Zealand. They're suddenly taking turn. I don't know if it's because the summer's been particularly warm compared to previous, but we've totally misread our own home pitches, which is the cardinal sin when it comes to our home series, is not reading the conditions. We didn't play a specialist spinner. They did. We played 4 seamers, which were ineffective. Glenn Phillips took a 5 part-time spinner, took a 5 for 45. But yeah, we are... Someone compared, who do the Harlem Globetrotters play the Washington Generals?
Yeah.
You know how the Washington Generals always play the Harlem Globetrotters on tour. And what do you know? That the Globetrotters always win. And the Washington Generals always just miss out. And I heard it on another podcast. That's exactly what New Zealand are to Australia in cricket. We are the Washington Generals.
But then you're suggesting, I shouldn't say those words so strongly. I would say the Globetrotters game's very heavily scripted. So are we saying that it's just kind of, surely we can't say that it's been scripted there, but it just has this feeling that...
it's a pantomime. It feels like a pantomime every time. We just got the yips with Australia, and it sucks. And unfortunately, one of the best bowlers we had there, Will O'Rourke, the punishing good-looking O'Rourke, he is out for the next game. They've called in Ben Sears. They've said to Will Wagner, it's it, you've released him from the squad, so he's not going to get a fairy tale farewell. We discussed it this morning with Matt Heath and Jeremy Wells on the Hauraki Breakfast Show. Is the script written for Neil Wagner to make a triumphant return to the team in Christchurch and win the test match for New Zealand, and the entirety of New Zealand will piss their face crying with emotion when he does it? And then they turned around and they said, no, he's been released from the squad. We're bringing in Ben Sears.
Which is a little bit ridiculous, because at the very least, he would have brought huge morale to the team, because you've seen him when he came out to field, when he was relieving in the field, the whole crowd went berserk. And how good is that?
He had a little tear in his eye when he was there. I heard from the crowd that he was getting a bit emotional when he got that standing ovation from the Basin Reserve. Great crowd at the Basin Reserve. It was a great occasion. We just collapsed on that 4th day before lunch, commentating that with Tony Lyle, who was dangerously hungover from Blink 182. And Lee Baker and Beck Sandys was just had an air of inevitability about it. And you know what? I want to move on.
I've got one little question though before you move on. How was the vibe down there? Because obviously you were down there for a part of Saturday.
Yes.
What was it like in the ground? Was everyone up for it, even though it wasn't really playing out well? Was the crowd loving it?
The thing is with Wellington, they're a cricket city. They love it. They're a Test match cricket city. Everyone was there. Quite a few Australians actually. There was a few cruise ships in that had a lot of Aussies on it, but there were quite a few Aussies in the crowd. It was enjoyable. We had the Export Ultra pre-game we had at Shed 22. That was good. So we got a few in before. Caught the Shark Bus. Caught the Life Direct Shark Bus. So I wasn't allowed to drive it. I did say last week that I'd be driving it, but the guy who delivered it, the Shark Bus, said, you're not getting behind the wheel. And rightly so. I may have had a couple of pints of beer and a wise choice. Also, I don't have my HT. So a few issues there, but we did 3 shuttles on the Shark Bus, dropping people off to the Basin Reserve, doing laps of the Basin in the Shark Bus. It just, I don't know why it made me laugh, but it did. But thanks to the Life Direct guys who provided the Shark Bus for that. Yeah, it's always a good crowd at the Basin, especially a sold-out Basin. Even when you have one dayers there, it's an awesome place to watch cricket. It's got a character about it. There's a freezing cold southerly that blows up there, and if you sit in the R.A. Vance stand, you're most likely going to die of hypothermia. But it's all the little nuances. I enjoyed it. They had good food there, great steak sandwiches. It was a good vibe, apart from the fact we lost. But also, in other news, I flew back to Auckland on Saturday after a few beers. Had a few beers in the airport as well. And I sat next to someone on the plane. He looks familiar. He had a high kind of ponytail, undercut, quite a big dude. And I was dangerously tired, and I fell asleep on him. My head kind of hit his shoulder, and I woke up again. And, sorry, I apologise. And then we dipped off again. And I was like, he looks familiar. And then he was getting off the plane, and he put his Hurricanes backpack on, and it was Peter Umaga Jensen.
Well, at least you know the very safe, secure shoulders that you're resting your head on.
I was like, PUJ. I was like, Peter Umaga Jensen. Oh, I was like, such a kind soul to let me sleep on his shoulder on that plane. He would have thought this guy stinks of piss.
Yeah, I was going to say that. He probably knew what he was in for. He caught the vibe, and he was like, there's no real point at that part, like kind of being like, hey, what are you doing? You're just aggravating someone who's had a few too many. Just let the poor man sleep.
I wouldn't have been in an aggravating mood. I was in a very jolly mood, but I had to come back and also commentate some rugby that night as well. So speaking of which, Super Rugby, I'm the first to be quite cynical about rugby, but Super Rugby, the first 2 rounds have been absolute screamers. Whatever has been instructed to the referees around letting the game flow, reducing the TMO, all that kind of stuff. Whatever they've said is working. And I read an article in the weekend that they're using this as a test, the Southern Hemisphere as a test to roll it out globally. In the past, that's happened, and they've said, no, we won't implement that rule, and we've been playing all year. But they have to do this because the game flows so much better. It's so much quicker. No one's stopping for anyone who's got cramp. They're making decisions. They're making common sense decisions on the field around collisions, around anything else. TMO only comes in for any sort of dangerous play or foul play, which is what happened in the Chiefs game. But if they give the vibe is it's a try, they give the try, they hurry up the conversion. And the scores have reflected that. Like the Crusaders, they're 0-2, but they lost 37-24 to the Waratahs. Great game. Plenty of tries. Chiefs 46-12 over the Brumbies. Brumbies looked a bit average. Plenty of tries. Even the Moana game, 39-36 against Fiji and Drua. That was an awesome game, right down to the wire. Speaking of which, then you got Hurricanes versus the Reds in Golden Point, 38-33. And then the Blues, Landers, 37-29. What is there not to like about that? So I think slowly but surely, if they keep rolling this out, it's going to be a ripper Super Rugby.
Well, it's everything you want, right? You just want action. And that was something that was tragically missing, where it was rolling mauls and just scrum resets and all that sort of stuff. So are you saying that that you're not seeing 54 scrum resets per game?
No, there's still scrum resets, but we were so burnt by that Rugby World Cup final and that Wounda coming in. The Wounda coming in from the TMO box was like, for fuck's sake, man. And there was only about 20 minutes of that game that the ball was in play.
Exactly.
And so with this, and even with the new kicking rule, the onside rule, means that there's actually a bit more counter-attacking when it comes to the kicking. So I'm loving it. I'm not being paid to say that, okay? I'm definitely not being paid to say it, but the Super Rugby, if it carries on like this, it's going to be a pretty awesome season. And also, Chiefs mana, top of the table. Right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with some some more b-ball, and some updates of Vegas, NRL in Vegas, what happened on field, what happened off field, all the juice. Right, Breakers. They have got a do-or-die game tonight against the Illawarra Hawks. It's a sudden death game. They win that, then they go through into the playoffs against Melbourne in the best of three, which means they will get one more home game at Spakarina, one more chance to farewell Abercrombie from there as well. So, look, I think I'm backing them. I'm backing them to win tonight. I've jumped on the tab and I've said it's going to be close. I've chucked a hundy on the match decided by 5 points or fewer.
That's actually not bad considering it's a playoff game because you're not expecting a blowout, right? You expect, if anything, for it to be tight. What's it paying?
270. So I'll put 270. It's paying 270 on that. Fewer than 5 points. Look, I think, I really hope, especially that last game that the Breakers played where they absolutely smoked the Sydney. I hope they're back. I love the Breakers. I love the entertainment. I want to go back to Spark Arena and take my kids there for a playoff game. And if they can fart through to the finals again, that'd be awesome. So good luck. That's tonight at 9:30.
Yeah, it is at 9:30 tonight. And also the Breakers, many teams struggle in playoffs. And I would say the Breakers would have, up until the past 5 or 6 years, they've been very solid. They're used to the moment. And I think that's probably what got them up for this last couple of games as well. I guess Abercrombie being on the way out as well, there's a lot more passion and there's, they're really playing for someone who's been there for how long? Abercrombie would have been there
14 years.
14 years. See, so there's a lot on the line, right? Like you're literally watching one of the founders, I guess, of the team, which it feels like could go out tonight. So yeah, it would be a bit on the line. But if there was any team to kind of just get in there,
go the Breakers.
Go the Breakers.
I want to see another home game. That's the only reason. Another proper farewell for Abercrombie. But over the weekend as well, NRL kicked off in very different circumstances. They played 2 games over in Las Vegas. They played on the same field as the Super Bowl final, the same stadium as the Super Bowl. Pretty awesome how they wheel that field in and out, obviously, because they need to grow the grass in the sunshine. So it's basically like this 1 metre platform that wheels in and out of the stadium, which is pretty unreal. But I'm disappointed, actually, and I'm very disappointed in my NRL friends because 2 very good games. The Sea Eagles beat the Rabbitohs. The Broncos got beaten by the Roosters. But I'm just disappointed. I mean, look, we haven't heard everything yet. It's only been one night. But any off-field misdemeanours have been limited to the press, who have stepped up. A little bit of on-field niggle with allegations of racism.
Yeah, and it does make me think, like what we were saying the other day, that maybe it's a bit of a smokescreen. Maybe they're just trying to get enough bigger stories ahead of it, like being held up at knife point, pretty bad.
Yeah.
Some form of racism, also pretty bad. So maybe they're just trying to soften the blow before the boys blow out last night, because surely on the back of that, there was clocked over just over 40,000 people in the stadium. It looked good. People were up for it. And there's no way that even if they have 2 minders per person, that you're going to be able to lock down, 30 plus players per side? Like, it would be hectic last night.
I didn't watch any of it, to be honest. I was too busy doing cricket and rugby, whatever. Obviously, the field, because they played on an NFL field, which
Correct.
is slightly narrower.
Yep.
And the in goal is slightly
Very short.
Very short. Did anyone get slammed into any hoardings or anything?
There was a real cheeky shoulder in the second game that he was kind of trying to catch the ball. It was a great kick, probably like a metre out from the try line. And one of the players just got lined up and just shouldered into the side of it. And it's probably like less than a metre from the line itself to be out and the stand.
Yeah.
Like, it was ridiculously close. And that started a big brawl, which was great for TV, I guess. But it was quite dangerous. And a lot of the kicking game was nullified because of how short the in goal was. Like, I think the in goal looked 2 meters tops, like a real old school NRL ground. So
that's quite unusual, because do they have to have a certain length from goal line to goal line? Because in NFL, the end zone is quite big.
Yeah, actually, now that you say it, is massive, right?
Yeah, so there must be a regulation in the NRL that from goal line to goal line must be a certain distance, and whatever's left over is the dead ball. Because I suppose they couldn't shorten the field and make it skinnier as
to
well.
offset it. Yeah, no, because by the time you looked at it, there was, even at the back of the in goal, there was maybe like another metre each side. So they were at the extreme length and width that was possible in there. But it was pretty good to watch, actually. And there was so much from the commentary saying, oh, this is the greatest thing for rugby league. And the funnier thing I saw this week is one of the head guys from NRL his only comment about the weekend was, we really want to break into the American market because we just feel like if Americans got into betting on the NRL, we could really make some serious dosh here.
That's Peter V'landys. Yeah, that's Peter V'landys said that because he said like they didn't really care if they didn't sell out that stadium. It was at Allegiant Stadium, is that how you say it? Some sort of insurance company, or whatever.
Yeah.
They said they didn't care about ticket sales really. In reality, they wanted Americans to start gambling on the NRL, and that results in income for the NRL, which is pretty clever. But if you were American, you came out of nowhere and you watched the Seagulls Rabbitohs 36-24.
The first game was good.
Was a good game?
Yeah, the first game was good. The first game was very high action, and it actually looked good. Second game, bit of a shitter. But you kind of got that because there was a young guy, Pia Kura, who got knocked out within a minute and a half.
Did he get knocked the fuck out? Because that would have been good for the Americans. Would have been like, oh my God, these guys are crazy. They got no helmets.
Yeah, it was one of those ones in NRL. You know how they always try and play it off and they get up, and he got rocked on his back. He hit the Big Cheese's hip. So he hit a big number 9's hip just straight out on his back. But they always give you that look when they look up like, no, I've got this. And then you just see their legs.
Wobbles?
Yeah, the wobbles.
Yeah. See, that's good. The Americans are like that. That's the NRL, though. If there was a fight, someone got knocked out, plenty of tries. Was there a little bit of back chat? Was there any bad-mouthing?
Nah, there was just that one comment between two players, which I'm sure we'll hear plenty of this week. But I think as a whole...
Do you know what they said? What was said?
Yeah.
They get accused of calling him a monkey. Was that it?
Allegedly, yes.
Right. Okay.
So, but which is just dumb. Like... And it was, I'm pretty sure it was heard on...
Well, the ref pinged him for it, didn't he?
Yeah, but it was heard on the commentary as well. So it's like, come on, man. Like, you could be so much more clever than that, right?
Well, it's almost a full house. What we need now is a serious off-field incident. Not serious, but just a ridiculous off-field, a bubbler. Just a bubbler or something like that, an off-field, and we've got the NRL full house. Then they can just present it to the American audience and say, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the NRL.
Yeah, and then if you take odds on what they got up to after the game as well, you know, because if they're already betting what is in the NFL, they're betting what colour's the Powerade, surely misdemeanor after the game must be played like $1.50 or something that you could try and get on.
And they've just said that it's going to happen again next year, the Vegas hopefully that includes the Warriors. There was quite a few Warriors fans there. I saw heaps of social media coming out of the stadium with heaps of people in Waz jerseys who just went along. They had a fan zone in one of the casinos, and it was great because there was some real rugby league lizards there. No interview. They would have got up to so much mischief in Las Vegas. I'm surprised some of the fans will probably have better stories than the players.
Well, in saying that about the fans, I think he was a Manly supporter got open palm, like punch slapped with like the bottom, the bottom of his palm, smoked someone in the nose, and they were like literally first row on the ground as well. And this one tough guy just smoked him. The guy turned around and he was just bleeding, just all out his nose, all down his chin. And that was caught on camera. That was going around socials yesterday. So, I think the crowd was getting more into it than the boys. Or, the boys are just in a blackout zone where maybe they actually did take away all cell phones. They've just put all of them in one big stadium with DJs. They probably could fly in a couple of resident Vegas DJs, just loaded them up and been like, come on, boys, just let it out. We know you want to.
Yeah, but it all kicks off this weekend, doesn't it, properly?
Yep.
The Warriors are playing the Sharks on Friday night at Go Hard Media Stadium. And we've got the commentary on that on Sky Sport 9. Di Henwood and Keezy bringing you that one. So it's going to be a big week build-up there. So make sure you tune into the Mad Monday podcast team to get all the lowdown on that. And I know that they're doing a pretty special podcast this week, live from Hallensteins on Queen Street at 2:30 on Wednesday. They've got a couple of the Warriors players down there doing a live potty. So tune in for that.
Yours, please. Brought to you by Leader, home of the lasagna topper.
Rightio, the yours please function. Obviously, this is the little microphone button next to the play button on your iHeartRadio app. You can just press that. Send us a message. Getting a lot of them during the cricket. especially during the test match. A lot of time to muck about, a lot of dwell time where you're sitting on the couch and just talking to yourself. Well, you might as well talk to us. So here's one. Yours, please.
Hey guys, just wondering how we text in from Australia. I'm an Aussie and I find myself actually going for the Kiwis because they're a lot better blokes.
Unfortunately, the 3236 is a short code only for New Zealand. So if you're in Aussie, it doesn't really work, unfortunately. But he's got the talkback function working. Hey, but on that, on Friday I emceed a lunch with Skull with Kerry O'Keefe as the keynote speaker. He was very funny. Very, very funny. He's very good. He got a standing ovation from the North Shore Cricket Club. It was good times. But I had a discussion with him, and I was like, Kerry, what's going on now that David Warner is no longer playing Test cricket for Australia? There's no lightning rod of hate for us Kiwi fans because you've got a dangerously likeable team. I mean, Steve Smith, weird. Labuschagne, bit weird. But you don't really hate him like we hated David Warner. And he goes, mate, you're right. He goes, they're just really likeable. He goes, Cummins, he's a really nice guy. They're all nice guys. And I was like, Mitchell Starc, nice guy. I was like, yeah, can you get some more assholes in there? Because we can't carry on like this. We can't carry on where I can't hate the Australian cricket team, okay? So, and he's like, but I did say, tell me the truth. David Warner, come on. Tell me. And I bared him. He goes, look, they tolerated him, okay? The team tolerated him. He was good. He was a good player. But all sports teams have to tolerate people who are exceptional at what they do. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's all I needed. That's all I needed.
Yeah, well, at least he was honest about it, right? And that's all you could hope for. And you're right, it kind of goes against everything that you know as being a Kiwi to be like, nah,
I know.
Not that bad. Shit.
I know. It's like, I mean, Pat Cummins seems like the nicest guy ever. Even Mitchell Starc, like when that run out happened with Kane Williamson and Will Young, He was like, had his hands up and he was asking the umpire, is that okay? Is this all legit? Whereas normally they'd just be mouthing off and get out of here, Kiwi sheep fucking getting into it.
Or they'd be right up in their face,
Yes.
just giving it to them, just slagging them off. Yeah, no, it's weird times. I don't know.
It's strange times. It's strange times, and I'm not comfortable with it. And I need some sort of outlet because I'm struggling to really find. I know that you look at Steve Smith, he was captain when all that cheating scandal, but we all know it was Warner.
Yeah.
And he's just a cricket nerd, and so is Labuschagne. They're just these huge cricket nerds, cricket savants, and the rest of them just seem like good blokes that I'd actually quite like to have a beer with. I mean, good example is Travis Head. He's just like a miniature David Boone. He's on Kawaja. He looks like a good dude too. So does goddamn Cameron Green.
Yeah, this must be weird for you to confess.
Me.
Yeah, it must be weird to confess, right?
It's hurting me. Okay, we've got one more. Yours, please. Yours, please.
You guys need to stop giving Daryl Mitchell a hard time about his reverse sweeping. They, them are non-binary, and they express themselves through the reverse sweep, through the sweep, through the scoop sweep, through the door sweep. They do it in lots of ways, so stop giving them a hard time.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, look, Daryl Mitchell, in the end, he was our best batsman in the second innings, but he was persistent with the reverse sweep, which we said, it'd be better if he kept playing the reverse sweep, which is quite an effective shot, the reverse sweep, rather than the reverse sweep. But he didn't get a lot of runs from it, and as fans and as commentators, it's terrifying to watch. Great in T20s and stuff like that, but in Test matches, it is a bit terrifying. But he's obviously quite confident in playing that shot. And look, we're not with the they/them gender specific thing. I'm not sure what he was on about there, to be honest. But it sounded like he potentially might have been a few Export Ultras deep in that message. Did you know what he was talking about there?
No, I don't really want to get myself in a corner here by trying to open this can of worms. I would say, if he was on a couple of exports at the end of that day, it probably would have been helpful. It was pretty stressful as it was. But it's yours plays like that really make us think and work for it during the day. That's probably where I'm going to leave that there, right? We'll just sidestep that one and get out of it on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, just getting back to Kerry O'Keefe, who flew over. He flew over for like one day, did this, spoke for an hour. He was very funny. His laugh is getting worse and worse. It's like, his laugh brought the house down. He told some great yarns about Shane Warne. He threw a couple of strays towards Ian Smith, which was a real crowd pleaser. But what I most enjoyed is I had a good conversation with him about Brian Waddle, and he too is not a huge. Brian Waddle's not a huge fan of Kerry O'Keefe. So there we go. We had something in common there. So we traded a few war stories with Kerry, but he's a good bloke. He's had a very interesting life, and at the age of 74, he said he's peaking. He is the peak of his career. He's having the most fun he's ever had. He's got a son that lives in Queenstown, married down there with a couple of kids, so he's often over in New Zealand visiting his grandkids. So, yeah, top bloke. And
we might need to get him on the show in that case next time he's around and give him a call when he's in New Zealand.
Yeah, he's a top bloke. He's a good man, and very kind of him to come over and speak at the North Shore Long Lunch. They raise a ton of money over there for the club. It was good times. And, yeah, it was a real sausage sizzle, though. It was like 430 people in this marquee. I reckon there might have been about 7 women. I did make comment to that. My former headmaster was there from my high school. That was dangerous.
Did you guys have a little word to each other? Did he give you...
Carl? I was like, Steve Carl, I used to take the piss out of him. He talks like this. Okay, Mike, Lane, you're up for Saturday? Mike? Okay, how's the hammy?
Did he give you any feedback? Did he...
No, he enjoyed it. He's retired now, I think. I think he just mentors and advises other headmasters now. But no, it was funny seeing him there. Bill Francis was there. PJ Montgomery was there. Sir Brian Williams, he was there. There were some real heavy hitters at this lunch, and I started to shit myself a little bit when I went out there. Oh, my God, I thought this was just a cricket club piss-up. But there was some real high-noters there that were wandering around. They sold Martin Crowe's jersey, his cable knit jersey from the test match in which he scored his last test century over in England. And that sold for $11,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was all sorts going on. But it was good fun, and thanks to the North Shore guys for inviting me along. It was obviously mildly high risk, but it was good to meet one of the people, actually, Kerry O'Keefe, who we based the ACC on when we first started, purely off the fact that he played that. There's a famous piece of commentary where Harsha Bogle didn't know what Skippy the Bush Kangaroo was. And so Kerry O'Keefe started playing Skippy the Bush Kangaroo theme song to him during the commentary. And I remember Wells and I going, that playing audio on a commentary seems quite outlandish. And it was then. I said, we should do more of that shit and do some more, like get callers on, get texts on, play music, play, sound effects, do all sorts of stuff within the commentary. So by accident, Kerry O'Keefe, it's his fault.
He's a great man.
Yeah.
He's a great man.
Right. We'll leave it there. We're back tomorrow. Mania will be back with some war stories from Waimate, no doubt. But take care out there.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda podcast. For more episodes, subscribe on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.